guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode, let's try that again. There we go. Today's episode is all about, is it too late to start a career in medical billing and coding? If you're brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue, I'm a medical coder. Okay guys, so I will say this first. My message that I give on this channel is for everybody. It starts from people who are just fresh out of high school to those who are retired or semi-retired and want to get back out into the workforce, and maybe they're in their 50s or 60s and they say, well, can I do this? I say this for everybody. Yes, you can. It does not matter your age. It does not matter when you're getting in. And don't think that people won't hire you because I'm too young, or they won't hire you because I'm too old. This field is for intellectual people who can pass a certification, obviously, and can pass the employer assessment, because having knowledge and having an understanding of medical billing and coding, it does not have an age limit, okay? So that's something that you have to know right away. If you are preoccupied with the fact that, oh, well, Blue, I'm 50 or I'm 52 and I don't know if I can, you absolutely can. I went to school with a lady who is age 61, and I've said this since the inception of my channel. Age 61, and she's still a medical coder today. I have been a medical coder for 15 years. I just made 15 years. So what does that tell you? That this is a long haul career, and it is open to anybody who wants to get in it. So don't let your age get in the way. And don't let anybody else tell you that you're too old to be hired. There's people who don't understand what medical coders even do. So that's not the person that you want to listen to for advice about whether you want to start a new career or not. Medical billing and coding finds people sometimes. This is what happens. This is what happened to me. It found me. It sought me out because I had no idea what it was. I had no clue what medical billing and coding was when I got into the school. All I knew was that this was a stable field that was going to allow for growth, and that was good enough for me. I originally wanted to get into accounting because I went through a program through my local workforce office that paid for this program. The only thing that I had to do on my end was get a job in the field that I'm trained. And that was it. And if I didn't, then I'd have to pay back the school. And I didn't have all these thousands of dollars to pay back. So that was my mission, was to get a job in the field that I was trained, which is in medical coding. And I did. It took me 2 months of looking and searching, finally getting frustrated. And my mom said, go back to the school, go talk to the principal and see if they can help you find a job or find a lead to find a job. Because I was getting the door slammed in my face. And being told, you don't have experience, come back when you do, because I didn't know at the time. And so when I went back to the school, he said that he had a friend who owned a temp agency, and so sent me over there. Well, I got hooked up with a temp agency, and within a week I had a job. I had a 3-month assignment, and then that assignment led me to my next assignment, which I was there for 8 months, and then it led me to my forever home. So that's something that you all need to understand. Medical billing and coding in this career field is going to require a lot. It's going to require endurance and a no-quit attitude. You cannot want to quit at the sight of all the stuff that you have to learn, because we have to know what doctors know while never having gone to medical school. It's not impossible. It's going to take some time. I'm, again, 15-year veteran, and I'm still learning medical billing and coding today. I'm still learning about the body. I'm still trying to understand everything. But I do my best, and I do my research, and I try to listen to as much things as I can. It pleases me so much, because I was talking the other day on one of my videos about how I read the New England Journal of Medicine because I want to understand what doctors are saying. And the New England Journal of Medicine is written by doctors for doctors. So they're not going to try to change what they're saying or what they're trying to express, based on their audience. They're talking to their peers, which is fine for me because I need to know, how are you speaking to each other? And again, these are doctors writing articles for other doctors, and it's fascinating to read them. Well, then somebody commented, hey, I just subscribed to the online version, and she knows it's going to be a great investment for her. And I'm so excited to hear that, because it's just so much you can learn, guys. There's so much out there when it comes to not just medical coding, but the medical field as well. And with, of course, the internet age, you have access to everything. There's no more of having to look this stuff up only in books. There is where you can watch surgeries happening on YouTube. If you are a surgery coder, or if you're interested in coding for surgeries, then that's a great place to start, because then you're going to hear like the words and the approach and all these things, and you're going to be able to watch it happen on this video. And so you can just Google, not Google, but go into YouTube and just type in whatever surgery you want to see, and you'll see a lot of different surgeries pop up. And that's a great way to educate yourself. But it takes some like looking, okay, we got to dig and find this stuff, but it is possible. And that's the great thing about being in this field and learning. But the thing, going back to the purpose of this show today, I don't want people to get discouraged about their age and thinking, oh, you know, I'm in my late 40s, I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s, and I just don't know. You know, if you're going to have your own barrier to pop up, right? It's saying that, imagine all the other barriers that are going to be up against you already without you having to contribute to it, right? Because there's going to be the barrier of having to get into a program, pass the exam, and getting out there and finding your first job and being told no. And then realizing that maybe it's your resume that needs help, and that maybe writing a better resume or getting somebody to write it for you would be a better option. But you can't just have anybody write your resume. And yes, I'm going to plug my own service here for a second. I do write resumes for medical coders. I write them for any profession, really, because I've had quite a variety of occupations already I've done them for. But it really matters what's in these resumes, because I've seen resumes from people who post on LinkedIn, and they think this is the most fantastic resume they've ever written, but it literally says nothing about what they want, what they were trained in, and the skills that they have. It says nothing about that. It only talks about their past employment. And again, they're not showcasing their transferable skills. So that's part of the reason why a lot of people, if they're older or even if they're younger, they don't get hired, because they have a bad resume. Okay, so that's something that you have to keep in mind. It's not always just because of your age. And you know, there's the law that protects people from being discriminated against, especially if they're older. You know, if you go in there and you are ready to rock and roll, and you say, okay, well, here's my skills, and you know, you have just as much chance as everybody else to get in. But it's just hard to get in sometimes, especially in the beginning, and especially if you don't do your research, especially if you want to give up, and especially if you're not looking for alternative positions also to get in. All right, so I've done that show many times on my channel about alternative medical coding positions, alternative jobs for medical coding, because our training is very vast, right? We get HIPAA training, of course we get electronic medical record training. We get all these trainings, of course, obviously with the codes as well, and the reimbursement. So there's many different avenues that you can get into to be able to get those transferable skills, okay? So we got to take that whole thing of, you know, wanting to put ourselves down based on age, take that out of the equation. Okay, now we take that out of the equation. What else do we have? Well, we have our self-esteem, and how do we feel? Okay, so if you're not confident in your skills, then what does that mean? That means that you need to go back and study more. All right. And before you say, well, you know, Blue, it's $4,000, $5,000, and that's just too much money. I have the independent study list that I put in the description box of all of my videos. I put the link to that video in the description box. You can get those books, purchase them on your own, and then be able to study on your own, because you don't have to go through a formal program in order to sit for the American Health Information Management Association or the American Academy of Professional Coder medical coding credentials. You don't have to go through either one of the association programs either. You can just get the books and learn on your own. And before you tell me, well, Blue, I don't have the discipline to do that. This is what this field is going to take. Discipline. And whether you are studying on your own or not, or whether you're going to a college, you're still going to be held accountable. So you need to get that discipline, and you need to get that responsibility that if you want to get into this field, that you're going to do what it takes to study and to make yourself proficient, so that when you get out into the real world, you're going to be ready. All right? So that's something that you have to know and understand. Sometimes I wonder if my message is actually getting out, if my message is actually being understood, because I think it's pretty clear that if you want to do this, then by all means, you go right ahead. And for those of you who say, well, Blue, I haven't worked in years, I've been a stay-at-home mom. You know, stay-at-home moms do this all the time too. When their kids grow up and go out of the house, and sometimes even before then, all right? Their kids get to be the teeter-totter age, and then they start learning. They say, well, I want to go learn a career. Okay, well then they pick medical billing and coding. They think because they can do it at home, and even though I discourage that, because if you do this at home when you're first starting out, you're missing out on a lot of the fundamental basics that medical coders get when they're able to be around people who actually do this. You miss out on the mentorship. You miss out on learning about providers, which is key to being a very good medical coder, because you have to learn to build relationships with those folks too, okay? So that's just my opinion. If you want to get into this because you want to do remote medical billing and coding, I'm telling you, you're setting yourself up for an uphill battle, but that falls on deaf ears too. So there's really nothing. I mean, I've told y'all, and I've said it because I want y'all to be set up for success. I have a responsibility as a veteran medical coder to educate the new generation of medical coders coming in, and a new generation of medical coders who are older than me or who are younger than me or even my own age, right? And so I have this responsibility because you all are going to be picking up the reins and either continuing on, you know, with the career field, or, you know, doing something else. But I want you all to understand that it takes a lot. I love this field, and I want people who get into it to love it too. But again, you can't, you know, point to, oh, it's my age. Oh, they're never going to hire me anyway. Because if that's your attitude, then you may as well pick something else. There's a ton of things to do. You see it all the time on Instagram or LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, but Instagram or TikTok, which I don't mess around with TikTok, because to me, that's contributing to the short attention span that people are having now. And I'm not going to contribute to that. That's why you don't see me on TikTok. Okay? Never. I will never be on that. But if you are on those and you see those, I mean, I'm on Instagram, so I see those little tiny clip videos. And they're always talking about, oh yeah, well, you know, I earn this money and I earn this money that way. And if you're broke and lazy, then you can do this. That's what they say on there. Okay. I'm not saying that's about people. I'm just saying that that's what they say. And so there's some things that people do on there. Oh, okay. That's how they make money. So then by all means, go ahead and do that, because you can still make money and you don't have to worry about your age, but you're doing other things. Okay. So really consider why you're getting into this, and let that be your driving force. And do not let other people tell you, especially people who don't know. People who don't know can sometimes come in the form of your family members or your close friends. Oh, don't get into that. It's going away. And, you know, the computer is doing for the provider anyway. Okay, let me tell you something about the artificial intelligence from a veteran medical coder who knows. That artificial intelligence has to be able to mind read for the provider, because there's always going to be mistakes. Even now in the electronic medical record, there's a lot of things in there that still are being, like, they need to be have that human eye to look at them and to be able to audit and make sure that it's completely correct. Because trust me, you cannot just rely on the electronic health record. It's not infallible, guys. It's not. And so that's something that you have to learn and you have to understand. And the fact that people think, oh, well, you know, it's going to be doing it all for the provider anyway. This stuff, again, still has to be looked at by a human, be understood by a human, because we are not robots. And providers are going to document whatever way they feel like sometimes. So it's not always going to be recognizable by the AI, right? So don't worry about that. They've been saying that since I started. And if I had listened to those ignorant people, I would not be here with all of you, right? Because I would be like, oh, just following what the crowd says, listening to people who are ignorant and who don't know. So you listen to advice from people who are in the industry and who do know. Yes, there's the encoder, and the encoder came along where it's gonna help you to look up the codes faster. There's the computer assisted coding, which is something completely different as well. But again, it takes a human to really look at all that stuff. So that's not something that you all need to be concerned about or scared about, because again, that stuff they are so far gone from that stuff. I mean, as far as like, oh, it's going to be able to read the provider's mind. It would literally have to read their mind. And then you know how expensive that system would be? It wouldn't be cost effective or efficient either. So again, something that you all need to understand. Medical coding is not going anywhere. And yes, there was a time when they sent it overseas, and there's still companies that do this. They send it overseas, but guess what? They have to send it back because people who are overseas, English is not their first language. And when you have documents that are written by native English speakers, and then you have people who English is not their first language looking at it, then you come up with some very interesting errors. I have seen it many times. Cardiac lead and lead poisoning were the number one things that got confused. Why? Because lead and lead is spelled the same way. So that, again, not something to worry about, because all that work came right back to the States, right back to native English speakers who could look at it. And they learned that it's not always is the best thing to get cheaper labor, right? Because if you're going to have to pay somebody to review, then you're going to be triple paying what you could have paid if you just had it here. So again, that's just something that if you're hearing that, don't worry about it. And again, that was what I heard when I was coming into the field too. Did I listen to it? No, because again, this was me coming off the heels of a divorce, right? Going through a divorce and trying to start my life again, and knowing that I could not fail. I could not fail, and I was not going to give myself that option to fail. And yeah, I had a husband in my ear. You can't do it. You can't do it. Okay, well, watch me. Watch me. And so that's the thing, guys. You have to look at what it is that you want. If this is a career field that you want to get into, if this is what you want to be committed to, great. By all means, go right for it. But don't worry about your age, and don't worry about what other people are telling you, especially people who are not in the field. And if you are desiring to do this, then you need to look at the people around you who are watching you. And sometimes they're watching you because they want to see how you react. If it's like your kids, right? If your kids are watching you, then you need to make sure that you are a good role model and you're showing them what it takes to get in there and get in the fight and push through that adversity, because that's what they're going to do. If you give up right away, then your kids are going to see, okay, then it's okay to give up right away. Or it may be your other family members. Maybe you are the big brother or big sister that everybody looks up to, and they expect you to do the right thing. Well, there you go. So whatever your why is, you need to think about that. Because again, guys, we only get one rodeo, and this is not a dress rehearsal. So what I would suggest is stop wasting time listening to other people. Get out there and find a program that you're going to be comfortable with, and get used to studying on your own. If you are lost trying to study on your own, find a mentor or find a tutor. Mentor is going to be for free. A tutor is going to charge you. So just keep that in mind. And sometimes it's just paying that little bit of money for a tutor, because really it's not a lot when you think about it compared to these programs that are out there. But if you invest in a tutor and you find one that's really good, then you're able to get that one-on-one attention to help you get through those studies. All right, so that's just something that my bit of advice anyway. So with that said, guys, stop wasting time. Stop looking for excuses to not do this if that's what you're doing, okay? But if you're serious and you want to do this, by all means. I do also offer tutoring. My rate is in the description box below. I do tutoring for exam prep. I do tutoring for outpatient coding and inpatient coding as well. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.